I'd just like to draw your attention to the Guide to Working Abroad. It's this document here. It was put out last year by the Medical Journal of Australia, and it's quite lengthy, as you may know, it's 97 pages, but it's got a lot of important information about going on electives and just generally working overseas, and you get to look at the ads. So just like a background of what working overseas is like, how you can contribute, how to pick a region, how to organise it, how to prepare, and then when you're actually there and working and then returning home. So there's a lot of really important information and really useful information. We can send you that link. That's not a problem. It's readily accessible though. It's called The Guide to Working Abroad. It was put out last year, so it's all very current information and also very relevant to what you guys will be doing this year. Our last two speakers are providing as much practical information as we possibly can give. And the first one is Dr. Ben Clark, who's the Infection Control Officer for the UWA Medicine cohort. He's got a good presentation. I hope. Please welcome Dr. Ben Clark.
Right, let's get going. So after the wonderful presentations you've had already this evening, I've got to give you quite a dour and serious presentation, I guess, about my role as Infection Control Officer when you go travelling abroad on your electives. So last year I talked a lot about infectious diseases and travel medicine, but we've got Peter Berg to talk things, so he's going to follow me. I'm just going to concentrate on what my role is this evening. And from your point of view, that's mainly the provision of HIV post-exposure prophylaxis. That's what everybody comes to me for in September, October, November. But whilst that's happening, I will bore you with talk on standard and additional precautions, and also TB. There you go. So HIV I'll talk a little bit about. If you haven't visited this site already, you should do. It's good fun to play with, worldmapper.org. And this is just a normal map of the world. And this is the map of HIV. Okay, so this is worked out as numbers per population, per area of the world. And you can see that Australia disappears virtually. New Zealand's pretty much gone, it's just a little sliver, okay? And then you've got this great big lump, this big growth in the middle. It's quite disgusting looking, isn't it? But obviously that's HIV in Africa, and you can also see the big countries, India, Southeast Asia. And these are the countries that you're going to be travelling to, a lot of you. You're going to be going to these exciting places. And unfortunately, you're going to be in contact with HIV. A lot more so than you would be if you stay in Australia, or if you travel to Canada, Northern Europe, as a lot of you will likely do. So what does that mean? Well, you've got to try and avoid sticking yourself with needles and getting blood splashed in your eye. But if that does happen, that's not the end of the world, because you will hopefully have access to this, which is Truvada, which is a very potent HIV pill, of which I will prescribe you a week of if you require it. Unfortunately, you've got to pay $170. That used to be funded by the faculty, but it's not anymore. Okay, you've got to pay for it yourselves. Hopefully you'll be travelling in a group of 2, 3, 4 students, and you can spread the cost. And you'll see that I can only give you a week's prescription. 4 weeks would just be way too much money, and the faculty expects you to come home if one of these disasters occurs, and if you have to start taking these pills, you need to come home and see me for some follow-up. Now, that's the interesting stuff, I guess, from your point of view. But when you do come and see me, I will start going on and on and on about the hand washing again, okay? Now, this is important, obviously, to protect the patients. Where you're going, or where a lot of you are going, it's more about protecting yourselves, okay? You've got to be a little bit selfish. Now, what happens? At the very least, if you don't wash your hands after touching patients, you end up like with this explosive diarrhea. At worst, this young fella or girl has got viral hemorrhagic fever. And if you're travelling to Central Africa, Western Africa, there's every possibility you could come in contact with somebody who's got Ebola virus, Congo, Crimean hemorrhagic fever, some other nasty that if you don't look after yourself, you could make the news as being a medical student coming back in the country with one of these hideous diseases, okay? So you've got to try and look after yourselves. Now TB, finally, this has become a bit of a bugbear of mine because I've sort of looked after 3 medical students who have come back from their electives and they've been affected with TB on their electives. And at the moment I'm providing medication for an intern who qualified elsewhere, but it's likely that he picked up TB on his elective as well. Everywhere you go in these countries, and there's another one of these funny maps, everywhere you go in these countries there's going to be TB. 14 million active cases. Each of these cases will infect between 10 and 15 people per year. It's 1 new case per second. 2 billion of the world are infected in total. Okay, you can't escape it. If you Google the medical student TB, you get this nice chappie here. He's an American. Okay, spot the mistake. He hasn't got a mask on whilst he's dealing with this patient with multi-drug resistant TB. You're not going to be like that. You're going to be like this nice guy here, wearing a little mask. Or at least I hope. I will point you in the right direction of where to get these masks. I recommend taking them with you. Whether you wear them, that's another question entirely. And 2 of the medical students I've talked to, since they were infected with TB, they said it was actually difficult to wear the masks. Okay, and I can appreciate that. I've been in situations in an African country where you're on a ward filled with TB patients, and you're the doctor stood there from the rich country. Okay, you're the privileged doctor. You don't want to be stood there with a TB mask. You look a bit of a dickhead in some situations, if I can put it like that. It's culturally difficult to actually get one of these masks on, but if you can do, wear them, okay? If you don't wear them, then you might come back with a TB, and if that is the case, we need to do a detection. Now, in the past, we recommended getting one of these tests, quantiferon TB tests, 2-3 months after you come back. It costs between $50 and $100 to get these tests done. Fortunately for you guys, we have ethical approval to do this nice study. Me and a guy from the Royal Perth Hospital. So if you should wish, if you consent, I need a blood test before you go, and then you get a blood test when you come back, and it's all for free. It's entirely up to you, but it's costing you hundreds and thousands of dollars already to go on these electives. You may as well save $100 and do my study. Not that I'm putting pressure on you or anything, okay? So you apply for your electives. When permission is granted, email of student names and destinations is sent to me. Then an email goes back out to students who are likely to be requiring HIV post-exposure prophylaxis. Now in the past, I've had a few problems with this because it's by no means a definitive list. It's just been up to the electives coordinator and whether they decided that these countries had risks. But I mean, I'm a doctor who specialises in HIV. I don't know the HIV prevalence in Vanuatu or Laos or any of these other countries. Okay, I've got to go onto the websites. If you're worried, then you come and see me anyway. If you're able to contact your destination hospital regarding the risks and whether they actually provide you with HIV post-exposure prophylaxis, a lot of countries, a lot of hospitals will do. So then, hopefully then, I will be giving you a lecture on all of this. You listen to me drone on again, and then I give you the prescription, sign some documents, and then you pick up the drugs from Fremantle. Those of you who are on a rural placement or elsewhere who can't make it, I'll be seeing you in November, December. Don't worry, there's loads of time for you to deal with this, okay? And whilst you're there, I'll be getting these blood forms to you, hopefully. Now, I went on my elective to Mauritius. This is Mauritius. I spent 6 weeks on a beach, okay? Looking back, that was probably not the best use of my time. And since then, I've had very, very few opportunities to travel again. I got the opportunity in 2006 to go to Ethiopia, but there was a big gap of almost, 11, 12, 13 years before I got that opportunity again. So, as the speaker before me suggested, use your time well. Go as far away as possible to something completely different to what you're doing and what you're used to at the moment. Okay? And that's it. I'll leave you.